Grab a drink, a joint, or maybe just your chair. It's time for Business After Hours with Summer Thorne and Claire Tinkler. Thank you for joining me today. I am Claire, a CPA and a crazy obsessed business owner, and I've got my lovely co-host here with me, Summer Thorne, who is also a crazy obsessed business owner and CPA and total amazing person. And we've got Devin on here today, the Neon Harlot. She's got so many awesome things going on with her. So I'm not going to do any injustice. I will let you tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. Hi. Yeah. So I'm Devin. I have my hands in a lot of things, like Claire said, mostly within the last few years. I have written a book. I do a lot of like short films and things, but my primary form of work is that I do OnlyFans. I'm like a companion for hire. And that's like where a lot of my income is coming through like nowadays. And luckily, grateful for Claire, we like made that we got an LLC and now we have the whole business.
Yep. She files her annual reports and does everything correctly. So,
Yep. I do. We did advise it, yeah.
yeah.
And then also next year I'm going to be teaching at Loyola. So no,
Okay, congrats, Deb.
excited.
I'm
Thank
so
you.
proud of you. Holy shit.
I know.
That's
I'm so
awesome.
excited. I got 2 classes and they're my classes, and it's really exciting.
So
Yeah.
what topics are there? What subjects are they?
So I'm teaching deviant behavior, which I'm super stoked
Okay.
about. And
Yeah.
then and then I'm also teaching theories in criminology. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Super interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I take it as like a correspondence class? Like, how does that work? Would I have to get registered with the university?
No, absolutely. What's really cool about most universities is that you are allowed to sit in on class. You do not have to be a student. You just don't get the credit for the class or whatever, but you
Yeah.
can, like, anyone's more than welcome to come in and monitor and sit in a class.
Oh, really? See, I never knew that.
Yeah.
That's super cool. Okay, that's good to
Yeah.
know because so does that mean when I'm in town I can come in and pop in and see you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right. Next
Yeah.
time I'm in town.
So did most of your book of business come like for the you said most of your revenue now is from companion for hire. Was
Yeah.
that like that book of business from dancing? Is that how you were able to build that up?
Yeah. So I was able to like start a like client base through that. But I have an ad that I run. So it's easier for people to find me through that way. But yeah, but dancing was what definitely led me into it because I was able to meet a bunch of different people and they wanted more of an experience outside of the club. Like they wanted to go to dinner or just have
Yeah.
fun outside of the club. And so it just seemed like the right direction to go into.
You got to go where demand takes you.
That's all. Supply and
Yeah.
demand. We've all got to do it. But one thing that I really did want to ask you with that was do you have, as far as your clientele, do you have many business owners or contractors? A lot of people like to call themselves a contractor, but they're really a small business owner. But is there anything like that you see with, I know that we're all crazy, but is there any sort of, do you hear them just bitching about their job the whole time while
Oh,
you're having dinner with them? Is it a common with all of us, or that's all they do is
yeah.
they work and they're checking their schedule and you're trying to sit there and talk to them at dinner and you're just
Yeah.
checking their, so it's,
Absolutely.
yeah. So it's
Yeah.
all of us. See?
Yeah. No, it is. It's very stressful. That's one thing that they really want to decompress about, is they want to talk about like their job, like how like the stresses that they're having at work. And yeah, they just really want to unload that information and
And
have somebody listen to them about it.
yeah, but I feel like that could,
Oh, good.
no, I was just gonna say, I feel like that sort of job, like having to do that with people, it's like you're taking in all of their like negative energy.
How do you create that? Like, how do you not
Yeah.
take that with you?
Yeah, how do you let that shit go after you hear it?
Money.
That's perfect.
Money is a really great boundary. Like that stuff doesn't feel so heavy when you're getting paid to listen. I always say I'm basically a therapist as well, and it feels good and I get paid very nicely for it. So it's easier to like be able to hold that space because I always say this like money can be a really good boundary. You know what I mean? It's very much, oh, like you're paying for this amount of time and in this amount of time, this is what you can do. And then afterwards, like we're done.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that's
Y
like our advisory services are we feel the same way, like, we're a therapist, so, like, they just want somebody to vent to a lot of times.
yes.
So
Mhm.
they're like, "Why is it so expensive?" We can't take everyone, like, we have to create a certain boundary or an obstacle to get over in order to filter out who we take on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Do you yeah, what would you say are, like if you had to pick 3 big boundaries, what would you say? Would it be money, time, obviously, because you've obviously got crazy people trying to message you at all hours of the night, I'm sure, wanting things and wanting you to go do stuff with them, and it's no,
Yeah.
dude, like, I have a routine, I have a job, I have a life, like, I'm a business owner, like, I can't do a job at the drop of a hat, come to your beck and
Right.
call or,
Yeah.
like, I
I absolutely have had to establish boundaries within my work, and that hasn't always been the easiest, and sometimes it's a learning process, like, I've definitely allowed certain things to happen, and then afterwards, like, I realize, like, it stresses me out so much, I'm like, "If I wanna continue having this job, then I need to have strict boundaries around certain things." Time is
yeah.
definitely one of them. This is the time period. I get paid, like, by the hour, and if we don't go past that hour, and if we do, then obviously I need to be compensated more for that. I don't take same day clients. Like it's not a drop of a hat thing. Like you need to schedule something. That's like really important to me too. And then also, if you're trying to discuss things outside of work, like outside of that hour, then that also needs to have some sort of compensation as well. Like I am not
Yeah.
here for you all the time.
Yeah, it's like scope creep, like, they think that
Yeah.
just because they paid you for this one service that they can talk to you when
Yeah.
it's no, like, "You paid me for this one service, like, you pay me for tax prep, you didn't
Yeah.
pay me to ask questions all year." Like, that
Right.
was tax prep
Like, "I bought
only.
gas. Can I get some, pack of gum for free?" No.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. 100%. And those lines can start to get blurry because it's an intimate experience and they're revealing all of this information and they feel close to you. But at the end of the day, this is a business transaction. Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah,
so, and
yep.
it exists within this confined of this time. So like it outside of it, like I have a life. Like I like I have a life outside of my business. I am not always readily available for you.
Yep. You've got
So
bills, you've got a life, you got and you're running a business too, so you've gotta wear
right.
all the hats, like, we were talking about this earlier, like so many people think that whatever they're paying you, like, that is what you are getting and it's going into your pocket. That is not the case at all.
Yeah. Yeah, and putting back into your business, yeah,
Yeah.
and stuff
Yeah,
like
because
that.
you get out what you put in.
Yeah.
I had another awesome question I was gonna ask you, but I forgot. I always forget my questions.
That's okay. I'm sure it'll come back around.
It will, it will.
It does a circle. How
Yeah.
did you get started in dancing? Or was that the first business venture that you started? Or just, like, how did you get started in this whole field?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I used to I've worked in the service industry, bartending, waitressing, or working at like a bookstore, which are all like, it's crazy. They're all very similar. That's what I try to tell people. Like all customer service, it's all trying to like, it's so I was doing that and I was working like 2 jobs and I needed another job. And somebody had told me that they were cocktail waitressing at a strip club and they were like, "It is good money." They were like, "I don't know if you're comfortable with that." And I was like, "Yeah, I don't care." So I went and started working there originally as a waitress. And then when I saw that most of the work, I think a lot of people think like stripping involves a lot of like pole work or a lot of like stage performance. And I
Yeah,
realized that's not really where the money is at. Like what is the heart of it is like talking to people and like making them feel comfortable and like establishing like a good time, like it's entertainment. It doesn't necessarily look like these like being on the pole or whatever. It's more like talking
yeah,
to them and just listening to them and yeah, establishing a good time.
yeah.
Yeah.
When you have, like, a client or when you did the private rooms or whatever, what do you think is, like, your ratio of listening versus talking?
Oh, it's 90% listening.
Yeah,
It's
and it's probably not even a lot of, like, dancing or anything in the VIP
no.
rooms. It's probably
No. No, it's so much listening. It really is like a therapist. It's like it is a lot of listening and like giving feedback or like just holding space for these people and
Yeah.
being able to I always make a joke and I'm like, this is like what like it's outsource like wives outsourcing labor. Like it's the stuff that they get tired of listening to their men about.
For real though.
So
But
I have
s
to listen to them bitch about their jobs or like boost their ego or make them feel like they're doing a great job.
And that's fascinating because, like, but, like, enthusiastically, "Oh my god," and
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
or, like, super
Exactly.
sympathetic or yeah, like, all of
Yeah.
the different emotions, like, you've gotta be able to drum up and draw up that emotion. "Oh my god, you got fired today."
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And you don't even you just met this man. Yeah. And so yeah, it's a lot of holding space for their feelings and emotions and making them feel like comfortable and stuff.
Yeah.
Mhm.
What is your craziest story? You know, like, out of all the things that you've done, you've written books, and you've been in movies, and you've camped, and you've
Yeah.
danced, and you've been a companion, like, do you have any crazy stories or funny stories that, would make us all feel a little better maybe, and a little
Yeah.
less crazy?
Yeah. I heard, I'd heard y'all briefly when y'all were talking for your opening one and you were discussing about that client that you took on. It was like a horrible client. And you weren't even like getting compensated in the way that you needed to be compensated for. That was when I realized that I had to establish real boundaries around it because I had clients they were just like, they were texting like all the time. They wanted constant attention. They were and it got to the point where they started feeling like they were owed more of my time outside of
Uh,
time that they had bought or whatever. And then what happened was like one of them tried to end up inviting themselves to like my hometown to meet my family. And I was just like, you have now crossed like a crazy line. This is my personal life and this is my business. And I don't know
yeah,
why you feel owed or entitled to then and move into this. That's not okay. And I
yeah,
I quit for a while because it had upset me so much because I was just like, I don't know, like I didn't do like I was saying earlier, I didn't have the boundary established. And so then I was like, and it made me stop wanting to do it made me hate my job for a minute. And I never hated my job. And so I was
yeah,
just like, I need to come back to this with a different perspective and with stronger boundaries and like realizing like what I want my business to look like.
I
So
love that it made you hate it because I did the same thing, like, parallel
yep,
universe. I like,
yep,
first year, I did not establish boundaries, I did not establish scope. I was just like, "We'll take on anyone, we'll do anything, we're at your disposal." I grew resentful of my
yep,
yes.
clients. I started
Mhm.
same,
when they would text
Mhm.
or call, like, and it's not on them, it wasn't their fault, it was me, it was my fault.
Yeah.
I was like, "I failed to establish any fucking boundaries." And so, of course, they're gonna overstep, like, they have no idea
Right.
where they're go, so they're gonna keep pushing that envelope. But,
yeah,
yeah, like, service workers,
it's
like,
it's really hard.
people don't know, like, if it's not written, if it's not clearly black and white, they will get as much as they can for what they're paying you.
Yes.
And what does it
Uh,
say? Everybody loves something free,
yeah.
but I think
Yeah.
I've been more, like, conscious about asking people for stuff, and I'm like, "Hey, I would obviously love to pay you to tell me about this," or I don't wanna be
Yeah.
like, "Hey, I need some free information," because I get it all the time, and I'm like, "Fuck." But it's you're right, like, it's boundaries that you have to establish, and you've gotta hold your boundaries because 'cause you're the only person that is going to.
I think once
Yeah.
we all realize that everything, literally everything is transactional, like,
Yes.
let's stop
Absolutely.
talking about
Mhm.
things like it's dirty, like, it is. Even when you go volunteer at a homeless shelter, it is transactional, you are getting something out
Mhm.
of that. You parent
Yep,
children. It
yep,
may
Yeah.
seem on the face of it like it's very selfless, but we're getting something out of it. We have a
Right.
legacy we're leaving behind, a crazy one, but still, it's there. So,
Yeah.
everything is transactional.
Yes.
So if you're doing
yeah,
something,
Absolutely.
the understanding of, like, you're getting exposure for your businesses or
Yeah.
and
Oh, yeah, that everything is transactional. Yeah, absolutely. And I always say that everything should be of some sort of equal exchange. Like even when there isn't monetary value involved, like it should
yep,
be that like you're giving and you're also receiving. And people get super confused about that sometimes in my line of work because I also do a job and that I think a lot of men feel entitled, like they are entitled to these things. They're used to
Yeah.
getting them for free. Like it should be something that they didn't have to pay for
Was it
and
really
don't
true?
realize. Wait, what'd you say?
Were they really getting them for free before though?
No, and
N
that no,
eh,
absolutely not. A
no.
wife is a paid companion. Let's be honest about it.
Well, and it's
Like,
it's a there's a mutual exchange, like, everything should
right.
be mutually equal, a mutual exchange, like,
Yeah.
everything should be
Mhm.
equally the same for all parties.
Be
Yeah,
equally the same at
absolutely.
all times. Like there's probably
Yeah,
eventually it kind of evens out. Like you're even Steven. You're like putting the
yeah,
effort.
Right. Yeah.
yeah, but coming to your hometown, that's a little
How
crazy.
crazy. Did you have to call the cops?
Yeah. It's not. No, I just said I fired him as a client. Like that I was just like I was like, "This is it's not working. I think you are looking for something different, then I don't
Right.
provide those services. So I think you should go find them elsewhere and then we are no longer gonna have this relationship." Yeah. I've
And
Yeah,
so
definitely fired a few clients.
yeah, do you feel like it gets easier firing clients, or do you feel like it's about the same, like, no matter what?
No, I don't. Yeah, it's frustrating and it's hard. And with owning your own business and being sometimes financial insecurity crops up, and so then you want to disregard your boundaries because you're like, oh, I need the money or whatever. And I've been really trying to be so clear about that. And so I've been really clear about them now because I realize that when I do disregard my own boundaries, then I end up getting resentful at my job and then I am not and then the clients that I do have, I'm not able to provide for them the way that I am because I'm angry and upset all the time. And so it's
Yeah,
just I have to continuously remind myself that even if like I'm in like a financial fear or I'm worried that I won't be able to keep continue to do my job longer and provide like the kind of service that I want to provide if I just take on this client because I'm scared I'm not going that like maybe next month the money won't be as much or whatever.
yeah, and
you're motivated at that point. You're not motivated by the passion for what you're doing. At that point, you're motivated by the fear of not making enough money. And that shows
Yes.
through. Like that's
you've
not
you've lost touch with your why. It's
yeah.
Right.
when you lose touch with your why, that's when you start really resenting everything. But then, do y'all notice that once you really trust that everything is gonna work out, crazy shit just falls into your lap, like, every time. Like, something
Yeah.
always comes, and you're like, "Oh, shit, if I would've I've just been so worried this whole time."
Yeah, like I think that the stuff that's happening is always like there are seeds that you planted like a year, like you planted those seeds a long time ago. They're just finally
Yeah.
sprouting.
Yeah, yeah,
But I think
It's
like I love the boundaries conversation because service industry, no matter what service you're in, like it's taken advantage of, I think. But really, like what's that quote? Like setting boundaries is a love. It's a way to show love, and it
yeah,
really resonated on a personal level until I started a business and had to go through that cycle that you're talking about of taking someone on, operating out of fear, keeping them on out of fear, and then resenting all of them at
right.
the and then I was like, "Oh, this is what they meant is if you really love your clients, you don't let yourself get to that place where you become resentful of them." So that requires the establishment of those boundaries and enforcing them.
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah,
And it helps me also because what you were saying, Claire, about losing your why, because I do love what I do. Like I genuinely love what I do. And when like you were saying, like when we now are operating out of the insecurity of or the fear, like you
yeah,
said, you lose your why. And I didn't want that because I was like, I love my job. I don't want to hate my job. And so I need to like figure out how to operate and what this operation looks like that helps me to continue to do this long and, like, happy.
yeah. You have to get put through it to know how you want to operate when you get to that point. But putting yourself through the misery and then to make yourself finally stop and step back and be like, "Oh shit, I'm the one that's creating this," and to actually stop doing it, that's not always the easy part. But we all
Yeah.
know that cuz it's like we obviously we create our own reality, but you just get in like this routine. It's like a routine, a habit. And
Yeah.
then you just step back and be like, "I can literally change this at any point."
Yeah,
Yeah.
I could roller coaster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
And I was
cycles that we all put ourselves through.
Yeah, I was gonna Summer, I think you just said it earlier. You were talking about, like, it being a relationship, like a actual partnership. I remember when y'all were talking, you were discussing about how you just use the word relationship, and I realized that, like, a business is a
Yeah.
relationship, and so learning things in my business has also strengthened my other relationships as well, because I now know how to have a relationship. Even if it's a business relationship, it's still, like, a dynamic in that sort of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There have been so many parallels in my life, personal relationships, familial relationships where I've had to set boundaries, and I was not setting boundaries before, and I didn't do it until money was involved, and money's a great
Yeah,
motivator. Once
yeah.
Yeah.
once you like set the food on the table,
Yeah.
you'll start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, boundaries are a good thing. Like, I need to do this everywhere. Why did it take me starting a business to?"
I know, I've just been doing shit that I've never wanted to do my whole life, you know?
Yeah, I was the people pleaser.
Yeah. Oh, me too.
But but I feel like you have to unlearn that is definitely something you have to unlearn to in your line of work, don't I mean, because obviously you gotta make keep your clients happy, but, like, you can't please everybody or you can't give everybody everything that they want all the time, and so that's
Ooh,
always hard.
like,
Huh?
in that vein, okay, so we have to make sure that we have right fit calls when we take on a client because it's a relationship long term. So
Right.
do you have a target client? Do you, like, vet
Yeah, like a
out?
screening process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, I do have a screening process. Obviously, like I do like a soft background check, make sure they're like don't have any like priors for like domestic violence or anything like that. Like I'm not getting
Yeah.
myself involved with somebody that could potentially hurt me.
Yeah.
And I ask for like identification. And sometimes they can be weird about that, but I always let them know I'm like, this is a like this relationship that we are establishing is one of vulnerability. And if you want vulnerability from me, then I require it from you as well.
Yeah.
And I don't negotiate my prices. I think anybody that, like, tries to negotiate your, set prices also will try to negotiate other boundaries as well, and I don't wanna be in a room with somebody that's already fighting me on my price. What else are they gonna fight me on? You know what I
It's
mean? And don't take on those clients. Yeah.
it's always
Feature that quote.
yes, and it's always a client that when you do every time you do end up taking them, whether it's out of fear or lack of money or whatever it is, but you take them on and you're like, "Fuck, man, why did I do this?" Every
Well,
time.
then you end up paying, like, the stress,
Yes.
the
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
resent, like, those intangible things all start to bleed into everything. So there's separation of any of it. You will pay a price for taking on that client, I promise.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
I do truly believe that not all money is good money. You know what I mean? So, because like you said, there are costs to it on when you decide to do that, when you decide to take on someone that you know might not be a good fit. And also, like you were saying, it is a relationship. I'm not a good fit for you either, dude. Like we are not like we are just not compatible. And there might be a service provider out there that you are more compatible with that will be able to give you those things, and it'll be a better fit for both of you guys.
Yep, yep. I damn, that's so good, and it's so freaking true. Like, just because you don't wanna work with me doesn't mean that I'm, like, begging you to wanna work, like, it's
Yeah, well,
twofold. And here's some referrals, here's some recommendations.
Right, I will. I'll be like, I know so and so that maybe might be open to this, or if this is the price range that you are in, then this person was in this as well. And I also try not to live in a scarcity mindset. I don't think that I need to take on everybody. I think there's enough money for it to go around. And so I don't, yeah, like I have no problem like referring out or being like, this person I think is a better fit for you.
I love that. That's how we are. We don't want all the business. In fact, there's probably only about 10% of small businesses that we'd actually want to take on. And then from there, we have to, like, weed out the rest. But yeah, we
Eh,
don't want it all.
yeah.
We Early, like, I don't, like you said, and that quote needs to be featured too. Not all money is good money. Love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
what I did wanna ask too was, how do you set your hourly rates? Like, in your industry, how do people set their hourly rates? Is it maybe, say, the accounting industry, like, the years of experience and the more knowledge and how long you've been doing it in the line of work in the industry, like, how does the how are the hourly rates? Like, how do you decide? I always been so interested in that. I'm so intrigued about everything. I love the whole, just all of it.
Yeah.
Dancing and camming, all of it, like, all of my doms that are clients, like, just the industry is very vast and wide open, like, I know, like, when you're dancing, you have does the club decide? How does that
Yeah.
work?
So with dancing, there is a lot of them, they have their own like set prices and the club takes their certain amount or
Of
whatever when you
course,
dance.
yeah,
Yeah, and they have like standard prices. A lot of girls, the way that they get around that, there are some clubs that you can work at where they're like, we're going to take this amount no matter what, but you're allowed to charge whatever you want,
yeah,
which I think is a really cool business dynamic. But you don't see a lot of clubs like that. Usually it's a set like price for a dance or a VIP room or whatever, and they take their amount. And what's really cool is I've seen a lot of girls in the industry then be like, okay, this is how much it is, but like I require this amount of tip up front. Like they're still setting their own prices by being like, well, for
yeah,
me, this is how much more like I need for myself.
the way it should
Now,
be, you know, but
yeah. Yeah, we're independent contractors. We're supposed to be able to set our prices no matter what,
exactly, yeah, that's a
you
different
know?
story for a different day is the whole
Right.
contractor versus employee thing, but
Yeah. Yeah.
Open payroll's
And
coming.
yeah,
right. And our environment is so stigmatized. And so these clubs do take a lot of advantage of that. A lot of the way that these clubs are operating is not legal at all. Like when it comes to the way that
yeah,
they treat us, because like I said, we are independent contractors, which means that I should come to work when I want to come to work. I
yep,
should leave when I want to go to work and I should be able to set my own prices. If I want to be at my on the phone or sit in a corner the whole night, then
yep, yep,
fine because that is how it's supposed to be. But that's not how a lot of these clubs operate. Now, when it comes to companionship, there's like which maybe y'all probably understand, there's like a market price, right? You know what the market
yeah,
looks like. This is what most people are charging. And when I started out, I just recently, which was a very hard decision for me to make, I just recently upped my prices and I've upped them enough that I'm out of the market now. Like I am definitely more like high end. And that was a really scary choice for me to make. But what was happening is that I was taking on a lot more clients and I had a lot of regulars and things. And like I think someone said earlier, like then it was like, okay, if by upping my prices now, even though my market is now smaller, I'm okay with that because it
yeah,
was starting to get like really overwhelming. And also I realized that there's so much that that I have to sacrifice. Like for my safety for one thing gets it's always like up in the air. The second thing is that I personally dating is a very hard thing to do in my industry because a lot of people aren't comfortable with it. Like there's jealousy and a lot of things get involved. And so like I tell clients straight up, I was like, part of my fee is that I like my desire and want for a partnership and a relationship is a lot of times sacrifice because of like the relationship, this business relationship. So like
yep,
that goes into my price. So it
yeah.
became so
That's the
those
opportunity
I
cost.
And that's what I was gonna say, it's the opportunity cost of and
yeah.
that's a big fucking opportunity cost, yeah,
Yeah. So yeah, that was a big thing for me. I was like when I had come back, like I said, I quit for a little bit. When I came back, I decided to up my prices and I had to have stricter boundaries. And I realized that maybe that makes me not as accessible to, or like maybe puts me out of the market and it is really scary. Like again, there's financial insecurity start to creep up. But I was like,
yeah,
but something that I did in my head that helped me like redefine it as I was like, I know what I have to offer and I know that I'm like what kind of service I'm providing yeah, and so that's okay. It's okay, that this is like the price that I'm asking for. And if people are just wanting something that's no like I'm a very like with my clients, I'm emotional and I invest a lot and I listen and I hold like a lot of space for them. And so that's a service that you are like getting and that has a higher like price on it and that's okay.
Yeah.
yeah,
So can I ask this? Since you raised your prices, you're probably gonna have some fall off. And so do you have more revenue now? Like you're less clients but higher prices, more revenue, or did you break even on that decision?
yeah,
Yeah. It was really interesting. I had just fired a bunch of clients when I was like quitting or whatever. And then when I was coming back, I didn't completely quit. I kept on a few people, and it was because they were very respectful of my time and my boundaries. They never questioned, like they never text me outside of asking for the service or was bothered, just not like they weren't interfering with my personal life. They never, if I said this is the amount or whatever, they never batted an eye. They were like more than happy to pay for it. And what was crazy is that those regulars, when I upped my price, were did not like they didn't go anywhere. They were just like, yes, I think you're amazing and you're worthy of this. And here you go. And that was, like, such a cool experience to see because I was not expecting that. I was worried about the fallout, and I haven't, which is wild, I haven't seen a difference. There was a little bit of a transitional period to where I wasn't getting a lot of newer clients, but, like, the people that had already been around, and when I told them that I was coming back, but, like, with a new price, they were just like, "Okay," and they were okay with that, and that was really cool to see. So, yeah,
Yeah.
really
What
awesome.
would you yeah, like, what and I did the same exact thing, like, when I transitioned from quitting my, like, day job and going full time, like, I went a little too crazy and was like, "I am only offering tax planning," but then I thought about it because like, nobody was gonna stay. I think 2 clients out of 100 was going to stay, so I was like, "Okay." So then I went back and was like, "Okay." You know what I mean? I hate to say that I did this, but I did. But I went back to everyone and was like, I can still do tax prep. Like, I'll still do your taxes only, but just know that I really want to do tax planning. I want to save you money and not just plug your numbers once a year. But like most, everybody stayed. So it definitely feels good to know that because it is like the imposter syndrome gets in the way when you're like,
Yeah,
I'm not going to be worthy.
absolutely.
Nobody's going to stay. But then you're like, "Okay, of course," like, it was just me getting in my way every time.
The pricing decision in any business is so important, and it's something that we struggle with. We think about it like nonstop. Like our software that we use probably sunk like 20 hours in it trying to figure out like our pricing. It's something that you never saw, and I think part of it is because like you tie that price to your value as a human. This is
Yes,
my human
yeah,
value that I'm asking for, and sometimes you can see whether the business owner is confident in what they're providing based on their price. Do they tell you this is their price sheepishly, like they're ashamed of the price, or they're like,
Yeah.
I will not negotiate. I will help you if you need to find someone that's cheaper. So if you say that with confidence, like that price is very strong. But if you're like, here's my price, well, like it's
yeah.
kind of like how much value
Yeah,
you
they're
think.
also right, yeah. They're like, "Is the okay, should I not
If you
buy
don't
this?"
know
Yeah.
Yeah, if you don't know why it's this much,
Right,
then
right, then
yeah.
why should
Sounds
I,
negotiable.
like
Yeah,
yeah,
because what do they say? You can have a product that is the same thing, one for 1,000, one for 10,000, and one for $100, and you're gonna ask, "Why is that one so cheap?" Because it's
right,
Like,
and it's
yeah,
so true. Yeah.
yeah,
I don't like Temu. Dude,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You don't wanna go with the cheapest one ever, no matter what it is. What did I say earlier? Cheap is always expensive.
yes.
Yeah.
I have never
Yeah.
You said something about doms. There's paid doms out there. Are there paid submissives? Can somebody be paid to be submissive?
I don't know,
Yeah,
I haven't come across any yet, are there? Is there?
yeah, I guess there's I think most of the other engagements outside of dominant doms is like more of a submissive, especially what we were talking about, like with these going to like dinners with these are like sometimes like CEOs of companies that are they're so they love the control and the dynamic of that. So in a way, yeah, you are like being more of a submissive because you're being the person that's giving and boosting their ego and being like you're the best. So I guess in a way
Yeah.
it is like that. Yeah.
It yeah. See, I've never
Yeah.
thought about it like that, but holy shit, it really is.
Yeah, so that's what's been so fascinating about my job. So I was thinking about it the other day because I was thinking about because I make majority of my revenue off of 7 clients now, basically. And I was thinking about all of their jobs and what they do, and it's all so different. Like there's like one that's a lawyer, there's one that owns a landscaping business, there's another one that like works in real estate, there's somebody that works in the diamond business. Like it's so vast and it's wild. Sometimes I learn new jobs that I didn't even know existed. Provide so much. Oh, one of them owns like an RV camp, and it's wild. Like he is so sweet, and he has like so much. Like he's probably one of my
Uh,
most like wealthiest clients, and that's what he
yeah.
owns.
Oh my god, that's
Yeah, it's
so
so
much,
crazy.
and it's probably like it is for you with our industry. I know it's always fun to learn about people and what they do and why they got
Mhm.
started, and it's always interesting, and I love learning that about people. Like, how
Yeah.
the hell did you get here?
Right. Yeah. It's so crazy. It's so diverse, like all over the place. One of like the coolest jobs I remember coming across when I worked in the strip club was this guy, which now I've heard more about it, but it was the first time I'd ever heard about it. He was paid by these massive, like big companies to come in and hack their system so that way he can tell them how to, yeah,
Yes,
like
I have a
better
client
not.
that does that. Yeah,
So
yeah,
cool. Like I was like, that's wild.
and they make so much money too. Like, they
Yeah.
make he make tons of money, like, to just like, all the big corporations were paying him to try to for them to try to hack their IT or whatever.
Yeah, which he should be paid a lot because he's saving them a lot of money. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, like, being
It's
alone,
wild.
like, you could lose your entire business if there's no confidence in, like, the public trust, like, that is something you can't put a dollar amount on, but it could cost you your whole business, so that's
Yeah,
Yeah. Like,
absolutely.
do y'all
so
feel like I just feel like there's a lot of, like, big companies are losing the public trust with all the Boeing stuff. I think American Airlines just got sued. Like, all these big corporations, like, people are just tired of being fucked around with.
Yeah,
We just wanna know the fucking truth.
yeah,
It's kinda like that with big pharma too, I feel like.
I think there's always, like, in like, history of humanity, there's always, like, a pendulum swing where,
Yeah.
for time, big corporations and conglomerates was like, they made all the money and there wasn't a lot of ethical practices, but now we've pendulum swung back and we get to vote for who we like as a business with our dollars, so we've started putting money into businesses that we think are ethical, that are doing green recycling, they're trying to make things a little bit more eco-friendly. Those are the types of businesses that are seeing some dividends pay off for investing in those things, hiring practices and making sure that like things are fair. And then like little mom and pop shops, like we care about shopping locally.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah. I love going
absolutely.
to all the little small towns, especially in Mississippi with all the little small towns on the coast. God, there's so many of them.
Yeah, and
All the little
and then that money gets circulated in those communities because those people are like spending it usually within their own community. And so it's a resistant, it's it's revolutionary in a way. But okay, like I'm going to take this money and I'm going to spend it here. And now y'all aren't just continuously getting rich and rich, like everybody is getting like some of the wealth.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think people have started placing more value on that stuff because we've seen where it
Yeah.
leads.
Yeah.
Like, you can't let these big I think it's fine if you need to buy in bulk, you got like Walmart's, you can't beat it or Costco or whatever. Well, I try to spend most of my money on little mom and pops because that needs it. And
Same.
like on a whole level, like small businesses control, like we have more dollars in small business than there is in big business, but it's because we're so dispersed that we don't have a lot of power or say so. But we all got
Yeah.
together, we'd
We've
be able to do
rocked the
so.
world.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely. Definitely.
So I'm always like, I know I asked like how you got your customers initially, but I'm so obsessed with sales lately because I'm like, it's just like a skill that I need to sharpen. So for since you've quit working at the strip club, how have you gotten like new clients? Is it like referrals or do you only take referrals that are like by people you trust?
No, so I don't take referrals at all. And the reason why is because a lot of the time you don't know the referral that they could have given you is somebody that they have paid lots of dollars to be like, this client's wonderful. And they're not really wonderful. You know what I mean? So I don't do it that way. But like I said, I run an ad and I do my screening process. And I also ask for a deposit. And that can be a lot of times people won't want to do that because they feel like, "Oh, she's just gonna take my money and run," or where the engagement prior is, and it's not going to happen because of whatever. But for me, and I like I think taking a deposit has helped me realize that they're serious about this and that they're like willing to like I said earlier to be vulnerable. And so that
Yeah.
means that I feel safer about it. I am out. So I am very public about what I do, which makes a huge difference. And it sucks because not everybody can be like my work is like super highly stigmatized and it can affect a lot of other avenues in your life when people find out about it. So that it does hurt because those people have a lot more hard time marketing. And there's so much more that goes into trying to stay anonymous while working in this industry. But I'm not like I'm out. I'm very out about it. And also, I think it does help that like my whole like teaching and like my master's and everything is centered around this. I feel a little bit more secure in that as well. But being out has helped tremendously, like with marketing and with sales. I'm just myself and a lot of clients will see that and I'm open about it and I discuss it and they're like, oh, like I'm interested. So it does help. I'm very privileged in that way that I'm able to be very open about my job. And I think that definitely helps me when it comes to like marketing and sales.
Yeah, because would you say I've always wondered that too, like, when it comes to so many people out there, they don't talk about it. What would you say is the percentage or what is the ratio of people that do openly promote it and then people that are like, they don't wanna tell people they're a dancer, like, they just there's so many different people out there that they don't want people to know what they do for a living.
Yeah. So within the club, it gets a little bit easier because you can start to establish regulars, which will help with sales. Like if you like return clients, like they have a place that they can go to. But like when it
Yeah.
comes to running an ad online or not having a specific location where your customers are coming through, I think that becomes a lot more difficult. And so what a lot of women do is they'll get like a VPN and they'll establish like a Twitter specifically for their business or Twitter's way easier than Instagram, but they'll just establish a Twitter for their business and then they have to literally from the ground up build this Twitter and that becomes their like marketing and like for people to see it and whatnot. And so that is 10 times more complicated. Luckily, like the internet is can be I know people have qualms with the internet, but I think it can be like one of the most beautiful things because it allows those kind of communities that are more marginalized to find each other. And so a lot
Yeah.
of times what happens is that a lot of people that are doing it that way, like where they're not out about it, they'll reach out to other people that are doing the job and then they'll start like chains where they repost each other's stuff all the time. It becomes like a team effort to, like, help build that, which is
Yeah,
so
that's
much harder.
yeah, I know, and I was gonna say, thank God for the internet. I remember having to go to the library and get, like, encyclopedias and would write papers
Yeah,
with
yeah,
encyclopedias, and just we've come a long way, but definitely, like, it really is, it's a necessary evil, the internet, because you've gotta have it. You've gotta have it to promote your business. You've gotta have social media to put yourself out there. Hate it or love it,
absolutely.
you've gotta do it, no matter what industry you're in.
Yeah. And I'm pretty active on Instagram and I don't like I was saying, like with people messaging or having boundaries around them when it comes to outside of the time period that I'm servicing them for. What
Yeah.
I love about Instagram is that I can just be like, here I am, here's myself, here's everything, and I don't have to respond to you. Like it's marketing that like also gives me a boundary around don't like you're not like, you get to
Yeah.
see and experience, like, me, but I don't have to necessarily, like, provide these services to get you to indulge in or to, like, want to buy these services.
Yeah. Yeah, because what did Cindy say the other day? You've gotta make the customer want to think it's their idea to buy it. Like, for your
Yeah,
service or your product, like, the customer it has to be their idea that they wanted to purchase that.
yeah.
What do you have one super big lesson that you've learned, like, being a business owner? Do you have anything that you wanna share with us like that?
Yeah, just to piggyback off of what we said earlier, I had so much fear about raising my prices, and I was just and I my friend one of my best friends, Mattlan, Claire knows now. He runs a cinematography business, and he's talking about he constantly looks at these other photographers that are getting this business, and he was like, and they're charging this amount of money, and he was just having so much fear around that. And then I realized that you don't even get to tap into that market if you're not like it like by raising my prices, I have now tapped into a different market. And so like you
Yep.
just have to have that leap of faith. And I'm really like glad and proud of myself for doing that. But man, is it hard. Like it is so hard knowing that, oh, if I offer this much, I will get more like quantity, but necessarily not like the quality that I'm looking for. And I'm also working harder. And
Yeah.
I'm also missing out on a whole different like people that I could be servicing because they're in a different market. And so I think that's always been like hard. It's always been hard to be like, "Oh, I know what I'm worth," and like feeling like it's like that I am that of that worth.
Because nobody's gonna give you
Yeah.
a raise owning your own business. You have to, like, put yourself like, you
Right.
have to believe in yourself.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
promote myself.
Yeah, I'm getting
Yeah.
a raise this year, baby.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, like, how we were
Absolutely.
talking about in our session, Claire was like, the initial decision to go out on your own, fucking scary. Everyone knows that, but the secret nobody else on the outside knows is that you have to keep making those scary decisions, upping your prices. Before you did that, you probably obsessed about it because it's scary.
Yes.
That kind of
Yeah, and
Yeah.
scary. You're like,
then you did it and you're shitting
yeah,
yourself. Just
Yeah.
shitting yourself waiting for all of your clients to respond and see what they say.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's so
But
scary.
it's
I
and then
had I had an incident where so sometimes they do have review sites for like companions or whatever. And an incident where I came up on a review site and it was someone just asking if they had ever hired me as a companion. And then the entire thread of it was like people talking about my price. And I was just like, it like at first I was so frustrated because they were just like, that's outrageous. She better be like something and like incredible. You know what I mean? Like they were like
just
dogging on me because of what my prices were. And then I was like, but then I took a step back and I was like, I don't want those people as my clients anyway. They don't think I'm worth that or they don't find like my value in that. Then I'm
yep,
glad that they don't want anything to do with me.
yeah. You
So,
just yeah, like you're just hiding behind this keyboard, you little asshole anyways,
right.
like
Yeah. Exactly.
but it really is true about the different markets. Like it's different like levels. Like you're unlocking things every time you do that when and you're learning and you're growing and people have to realize that. We're all business owners here. When we literally like the more we film these, the more we realize that everyone has the same problems. It's crazy. I love doing this because it's holy shit, we all have the same issues.
yeah. It's like
Yeah.
different terminology in different industries, but it's fucking the same. It's the same issue.
Right.
Everyone, yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
What do you have? How do you want everybody to get in touch with you? I'm like, I don't want to take up all of your time, but I'm like, I could literally sit here and talk all day to you about this.
I
It's
love y'all.
Summer, yeah, do you have any other
Yeah.
questions? Devin,
Oh,
do you have any questions or
your book.
anything?
I'm sorry, you can do a quick synopsis, but I want to know more about your book.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah. So I wrote my book when it's been a decade now, I think,
it's
which
been
is
a
crazy. So I
while.
wrote it
Yeah,
when yeah, I wrote it when I was really young. I always wanted to write a book. And I set out, like, I wrote 900 words every day for I think it was like 5 or 6 months. I just sat down and I was like, you're just going to write it. And I didn't go at it into a critical way, like overthinking it. I was like, just write the amount and then I did that every day. And then I had a book at the end of it. And I could have gone and there's such a process when you're writing a book. If you want to try to go like the professional route, then you have to reach out to like publishers or agents specifically that try to like then market your book. There's so many middlemans when it comes to that.
yeah,
And I was just like, I don't even want to deal with any of that. So I self-published through Amazon. And then I just did a little book tour. Like I went to like local places and I told everybody that, hey, like I wrote a book, come on out and stuff. And so that's like how I went about that process. But I'm really proud of it because it's crazy that I have an actual book and you can find it on Amazon. If you go to Amazon and type in my name, it like comes right up. But
Oh,
but what is crazy is for my thesis, I wrote a second book about my work, like it's an academic book about my work and my job, and that will be published after it's finished editing academically. Like it will be able to be like bought through like schools or and stuff
Oh,
like
hell
that,
yeah.
or be taught in classrooms, which is super exciting.
Yeah,
So
I can't wait to read that. What
What's
about
the
the
title?
movie?
Pushing. Oh, sorry.
No,
no,
sorry. Yeah, what is the title of it? What is the title of your thesis?
it's the name of my LLC under neon lights.
Under
Yeah.
Neon Lights? Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So we're putting that marketing and everything. And
Oh,
I'll come back around. Yeah. But that's what it's called. It's called Under Neon Lights. And it's like a modern look of sex work.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
when does it come out?
Well, my professor right now is in the process of editing it. So how long, who knows how long? Like now it's
yeah,
in the
he's
hands of
got
an editor. So who knows when he'll finish
Well, yeah, you'll have to
editing
keep us
it.
updated so we can promote it and stuff.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely, and also tell me a little bit about the movie. Tell Summer about your movie.
Yeah, so I originally when I was like 19 went out to Los Angeles for acting. So I've always had that creative like kind of side or whatever. And I did a previous short film in Los Angeles, but this other short film that we just did is just about growing up in like South Mississippi and like the hardships of it. And it's a very short film, but we're doing like super well in the film circuits right now, which is super exciting. Like we've already gotten accepted into 5 different film festivals and we've already won 3 awards. So
Yeah, I remember seeing that. Yeah,
we're stoked about it. Yeah.
that's super exciting. It makes me sad that I
So
wasn't able to come to the premiere, but
yeah.
you
I'll send you like the link so you can watch it and stuff like that. But we're this next week we're supposed to be in Orlando Film Festival, which I'd love to go out there because I want to spend a day in Disney World, but I don't know if I'm gonna be able to go. What'd you say?
Claire, that's a business expense, right? Because she's promoting.
uh-huh, yeah, you're going to
Yeah.
promote the business and go do some films, but it sounds like you need to have a board meeting while you're there.
Yeah.
The Neon is it the Neon Harlot or is it
Yeah.
Neon Harlot?
Yeah. It's the Neon Harlot, yeah.
Okay, and do
The
you have a website or a
it
Facebook
used to be
page?
Neon Harlot, but now it's the Neon Harlot.
Okay, I
um,
like the
no,
Neon Harlot better.
yeah, just my Instagram, yeah,
We want to tell everybody, if you have any cool projects that you're working on, and we've got your Instagram handle. And yeah, we just wanted to tell it. Thank you so much for coming on and
uh,
being a guest on our podcast. We are
yeah,
so grateful. I already love you, but you know that. But yeah, we just want to say thank you, and we want everybody to be able to reach you. And just didn't know if you had anything else that you wanted to add.
yeah, yeah. My Instagram's the Neon Harlot. Yeah, I'm so grateful to come with it. So pieces of y'all's own podcast and realizing, like you said, like this, like business is this,
Yeah, you're a
and
little
like
bit.
no matter what kind of. Oh, I
It's
was
a
just saying,
pretty
I'm super
dog.
grateful. I know she's so sweet.
Oh, look at her.
I was just gonna say that, yeah, that all that I was that I super grateful because it's been like super fascinating and even like hearing the things that y'all were talking about just makes you realize that all business owners go through the same thing.
It's true. It makes you feel better. I know it makes me feel better. Like we're not alone.
Because it gets
Yeah.
lonely sometimes.
Oh, it really
Oh
does.
yeah.
And
It's scary.
it really is. And you don't have a lot of friends, then like I know I don't have a lot of friends, but it's because I'm so obsessed with working.
All right. Yeah, 'cause we're our own bosses, which means that we also choose when we
When and
work.
not to make
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being here. And we definitely want to have you back at some point. But
I love
thank you
that.
so much. Yeah.
So
Thank
we
you. It's been so
Yeah.
nice meeting you, Summer.
All
Bye.
right. Bye, Devin.